Welcome to Sleep Universe, a place where stories drift among the stars and dreams carry you beyond the night. Close your eyes, breathe deep. Your journey into rest begins now.
Chapter 1. The Arrival. The carriage wheels turned slowly along the gravel path, crunching beneath the weight of centuries-old dust. The air was heavy with mist, each exhalation of the horses steaming into the night as though even they resisted the journey onward. From the shadows of the trees, owls called to one another, their low cries stretching into the distance, echoing off the valley cliffs. You had been traveling for hours, guided only by a faded map and the whispered instructions left inside a sealed letter. Its wax seal, black and stamped with a crest you had never seen before, still pressed cold against your memory. To the one who bears this letter, you are summoned to Blackthorne Manor. The hour grows late, and the truth has been waiting too long. No signature, no sender, only the strange seal of a serpent curling around a thorned rose. As the carriage rounded the final bend, you caught your first glimpse of the manor. It stood on the crest of a hill, its stone towers jagged against the moonlight, windows dark and hollow, like empty eyes watching the world in silence. A vast iron gate stood before you, its bars twisted with patterns of roses and thorns, the emblem repeating, as if to remind all who entered whose domain this truly was. The driver said nothing. His hat was pulled low, face hidden in shadows, and though you longed to ask how far the manor stood from the nearest village, the silence pressed too heavily between you. With a creak, the gates opened of their own accord. Not a hand touched them, and yet they groaned wide enough for the carriage to pass. The horses stamped uneasily, their ears twitching back. You could feel the weight of the land shift as you crossed the threshold. The mist seemed thicker here, the air colder. Even the moon above appeared dimmer, as though smothered by unseen hands. When at last the carriage drew before the manor, the driver wasted no time. Without a word, he leapt down, tossed your travel bag into your hands, and in less than a moment, the horses had turned back down the road. Their hooves thundered into the night until all sound was lost, leaving you alone before the looming gates of Blackthorne Manor. You stood still for a time, your breath forming pale clouds before you. The manor loomed higher with each heartbeat. Its front doors were immense, carved from black wood and engraved with images of roses, serpents, and unfurling vines. But what struck you most was the silence. No rustle of wind, no flutter of wings, not even the creak of branches in the night, only the steady thrum of your own pulse. Gathering courage, you stepped forward. The iron knocker was heavy, its handle a serpent biting its own tail. When you lifted it, its coldness seared into your palm. 3 knocks, each one echoed into the hollowness within. For a long while there was nothing. Then the slow turn of a lock. The doors opened, not wide, but just enough to reveal a tall figure holding a single candle. The light flickered across his sharp features. An older man, his hair silvered and tied back neatly, his black attire pressed, though faintly frayed at the seams. His eyes were deep-set, shadowed with sleepless years. He said softly, his voice low and deliberate, as though each word weighed something. "You have come. At last." You opened your mouth to answer, to ask who he was, but the words caught in your throat. There was something in his gaze, not quite welcome, but not hostility either. Something between recognition and unease. He said at last, "Come in. The night air lingers too long." And with that, he turned, and you followed into the great hall. The doors closed behind you with a sound like thunder. The air inside was thick with the scent of old wood, wax, and faded roses. A grand chandelier hung overhead, its crystals clouded with dust, but still catching faint glimmers of the candlelight. The floor stretched into a marble expanse, veined like cracks in ice, leading to a twin staircase that spiraled upward into shadow. Portraits lined the walls, faces pale, eyes stern, all painted with the same strange motif. Each subject wore a black rose somewhere upon their person, on a lapel, in the hair, or clasped in folded hands. You could feel them watching you. The man with the candles stopped before a table where an ornate book lay closed. The leather was cracked, the emblem pressed into its cover, the serpent and the rose. "I am Elias, steward of Blackthorne Manor." His voice carried a strange resignation, like someone repeating a role he had been bound to long before you arrived. Why was I summoned here?" you asked, at last finding your voice. Elias did not answer first. Instead, he studied you in silence, candlelight flickering across his worn features. "Because you bear the blood," he said. The word sank into the silence of the hall. You frowned. "The blood?" His eyes shifted towards the portraits that loomed above. "This house does not call to strangers. The letter found you for a reason. Blackthorne recognizes its own." Your heart pounded. You had never heard of this family, never seen this manor, and yet something stirred in the pit of your chest, a strange unease, as though part of you had known this place long before tonight. Elias stepped closer, his gaze heavy upon you. "Follow me," he said. "There are things you must see." He turned, and with only the small flame to guide the way, you followed him deeper into the manor. The hall stretched endlessly, lined with old furniture draped in sheets, with mirrors too clouded to reflect. Every creak of the floorboards beneath your feet seemed amplified, echoing down the corridors, as though unseen ears listened in. At last, Elias stopped before a tall door carved with roses in bloom. He pushed it open slowly, and a rush of stale air met you. Inside was a room preserved in silence. The walls were painted deep crimson, the curtains drawn against the night. A large canopy bed stood in the center, its sheets faded but untouched, as though someone had only just left it. Beside the bed stood a small table, and upon it a letter. Its seal unbroken, the same serpent and rose crest stamped into black wax. Elias gestured toward it. "It has waited for you." You stepped forward, your pulse racing as you lifted the letter. The wax cracked under your thumb. The parchment unfolded with a faint scent of roses and something metallic. The words were written in a hand both elegant and hurried. "To the one who carries my name,
Blackthorne is dying. The truth lies within these walls. Seek it before the house takes you as it has taken the rest. Trust no one, not even the steward. See. The candle flickered. You looked up sharply, but Elias's face was unreadable, his eyes calm, though deepened with shadow. The silence stretched heavy between you, and though you did not know it yet, the letter in your hands would change everything. For Blackthorne Manor did not summon you to give answers. It summoned you to reveal its secrets.
The crimson room faded behind you as you stepped into the corridor beyond. The walls were lined with faded tapestries, their intricate patterns nearly indistinguishable in the flickering candlelight. Each thread seemed to hum faintly, vibrating with the weight of unspoken stories. Elias walked ahead, silent and steady, but you could feel the manor itself watching. Every shadow quivered at the edge of your vision. Occasionally you thought you glimpsed figures darting just beyond the candle's glow, only to find the space empty when you turned. The air here smelled faintly of old parchment and lilac, with a trace of something sharper, iron or perhaps blood long dried. Your footsteps echoed softly, mingling with the distant tick of a clock whose source you could not find. "Do not be afraid," Elias said, his voice low but carrying through the corridor. "The manor tests those who enter. It senses curiosity, fear, doubt, but it is patient, and it remembers everything." You nodded, though unease gripped your chest. The silence was not empty, it was aware. Each footfall seemed measured, as though the manor counted them, memorized them, filed them away for later. You came to a crossroads. 2 doors led into darkness. One was tall and carved with serpentine vines curling endlessly. The other was smaller, simple, with a brass handle dull with age. "Choose carefully," Elias said softly. "Every door has its own truth, its own risk." Instinct guided you to the larger vine-carved door. With a deep breath, you pushed it open. A cold draft swept over you, carrying a faint whisper. "Do you remember, or do you forget?" The room was circular, its walls lined with mirrors. Some were full length, others just fragments, all clouded with age. When you peered into them, your reflection shimmered and twisted. For a heartbeat, you saw not yourself, but another figure, tall, gaunt, with hollow eyes staring back. You stepped back, heart racing. The figure did not move, and yet, when you looked away and then returned your gaze, it was gone. Only your own reflection remained, pale in the dim candlelight. A soft creak came from the floorboards behind you. You turned sharply. Elias stood at the door, unmoving, his candle casting long shadows that danced along the mirrored walls. "The mirrors show fragments of memory," he said quietly. "Not always your own. Sometimes the past lingers here, waiting for someone to see." As you stepped deeper into the room, the mirrors multiplied. Images became layered, each image subtly different. You glimpsed scenes from another time, a child playing in a sunlit hall, a hand reaching for a vanished object, laughter echoing down a corridor that no longer existed. You realized with a shiver that the manor stored memories, moments long gone, preserved as shadows and glass. and it was observing you, testing you whether you could perceive the truth. From the far side of the circular chamber, a staircase spiraled downward, carved into the stone foundation. A faint golden light glimmered at the bottom. You felt drawn to it, as though the manor itself guided your steps. Elias's voice cut softly through the stillness. "Do not rush. Let the house reveal itself. It will not force you, but you must pay attention. Every whisper, every shadow, every subtle shift matters." You nodded, your pulse slowing as a strange calm settled over you. The manor was alive, but it was patient. It would not hurry you. The staircase led to a library unlike any you had seen. Shelves stretched impossibly high, filled with leather-bound volumes. Some titles were in familiar languages. Others used letters that seemed to move as you tried to read them. A faint glow illuminated the shelves, but there was no apparent source. As you stepped further, a book fell from a high shelf, landing open at your feet. Its pages were brittle, but the ink was still vivid. You bent to read the first entry. "Tonight, the guest arrives. They will not know what to look for, and yet everything will be revealed. Blackthorne watches, but it will not speak. Only the shadows remember." A chill ran down your spine. You glanced around, but the library was empty. The only movement was the subtle flicker of candlelight, casting elongated shadows across the walls. Somewhere deep in the stacks, you thought you heard soft footsteps, though no one was there. Elias approached silently, placing his hand on your shoulder. The manor's whispers are not always voices. Sometimes they are the echo of what once was. You must learn to listen with more than your ears. The library seemed to stretch endlessly, corridors of shelves unfurling like ribbons of shadow. You walked slowly, running fingers along the spines of the books. Titles appeared and disappeared as you passed, like fleeting thoughts in a dream. Then from the very back, you heard a soft melody, a music box playing somewhere unseen. Its tune was haunting, delicate, and impossibly sad. You followed the sound, drawn deeper into the heart of the manor. Finally, you reached a small alcove. In it stood a desk, scattered with letters and journals. A single candle flickered above them. You picked up one journal. Its pages were brittle, but the ink was still vivid. "Tonight, the air is not gone, only hidden where midnight reigns, where shadows are patient and time forgets itself. Whoever finds this must decide, will they awaken the manor or let it sleep forever?" You set the journal down, heart pounding. The words resonated within you, echoing against the walls and ceilings of the library. A soft whisper rose, carried on a draft. Do you dare to follow the truth, or retreat into the safety of ignorance? You looked to Elias, but he offered no answer, only a faint, knowing nod. And as the candle flickered once more, the library seemed to exhale, welcoming you into the mysteries yet to come.
Chapter 3. The Mirror Room and Hidden Secrets. The library's endless shelves faded behind you as you followed a narrow corridor that twisted like a serpent through the manor. The walls here were colder, stone replacing wood, and the air was thick with the scent of dust and something faintly metallic. Your footsteps echoed softly, mingling with the faint ticking of distant clocks, their rhythm uneven, irregular,
but strangely hypnotic. Ahead, a tall door loomed. Its surface was carved with curling vines and serpents, and in the dim light, the pattern seemed to writhe subtly, as though alive. You reached out and pushed it open. A chill swept through the room, brushing your skin like a whisper. Inside was the mirror room. It was larger than any room you had ever seen, circular in shape, with mirrors lining every inch of the walls. Some were cracked, others pristine. Each reflected not only your image, but flickers of shadowy figures moving behind you. When you turned, the shadows vanished. A soft draft carried a whisper. Time remembers, even when you forget. The candlelight danced across the glass, casting shifting patterns across the marble floor. Your reflection seemed delayed, almost lagging behind your movements. In one mirror, your reflection did not move at all, staring straight ahead with hollow, unblinking eyes. From the corner of your eye, a figure appeared, a young woman, translucent, pale as moonlight. She gestured toward a mirror larger than the rest, its surface rippling faintly. You stepped closer. Within it, a vision unfolded, a grand ball, long abandoned, the chandeliers sparkling, dancers twirling silently, their faces blurred, laughing without sound. A diary lay on a pedestal beneath the mirror. You opened it and found pages filled with spidery handwriting. The air remains hidden. Only those who see beyond the surface may uncover the truth. The mirrors show more than reflections. They show the choices we never made, the paths we never took, and the memories we left behind. The music began softly, a piano note somewhere in the shadows, playing a melody that seemed impossibly old. Each note echoed against the mirrors, multiplying and stretching into infinity. The ghostly woman drifted closer, her eyes imploring, urging you to follow. You turned, and in that instant, the mirror room seemed to stretch endlessly. Mirrors reflected mirrors, shadows reflecting shadows, until you could no longer distinguish where the room ended or the reflections began. A sensation of vertigo swept through you. Elias's voice whispered behind you, "The manor shows itself to those who listen. Do not fear the shadows. They are fragments of the past, echoes of the house's memory. Observe carefully. It guides those who are patient." You noticed one mirror that did not reflect anything, not you, not the room. Its surface rippled gently, as if water trapped behind glass. Hesitantly, you reached toward it. The moment your fingers brushed the surface, the mirror dissolved, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward. A golden light glimmered from below. Drawn toward it, you descended carefully, every step echoing softly. At the bottom, a chamber opened before you. Its walls were lined with old clocks, all ticking at slightly different paces. Pendulums swung lazily or raced ahead, creating a symphony of uneven rhythms. In the center of the chamber stood a music box, carved with intricate patterns of vines and creatures. You wound it slowly. A delicate, haunting melody filled the air. The notes danced along the walls, mingling with the clock's ticks, blending into a rhythm that seemed alive, aware of your presence. From the shadows near the far wall, a figure emerged, the same pale, ethereal woman from the mirror room. She pointed toward a massive portrait depicting a family long forgotten. You realized she was guiding you. The clock's ticking grew louder, almost urgent. The music swelled as if responding to an invisible conductor. You noticed that the figures in the portrait seemed subtly different from every angle, one moment solemn, the next watching you. A whisper brushed your ear. They are not lost, only hidden. The air waits where shadows linger and time forgets itself. You followed the direction of the figure, stepping lightly across the chamber. Somewhere deep within the manor, a door opened. Footsteps echoed softly, guiding you onward. Each tick of the clocks seemed to mark your heartbeat, syncing your pulse with the manor itself. The ghostly woman lingered, watching silently as you approached another door, carved with vines and roses like the others. Behind it lay the secrets of Blackthorne Manor, the air hidden for generations, waiting to be discovered. A final note lay at your feet, delicate and faded. The choice is yours. Will you awaken the past, or let it remain a dream in the night? The room fell silent, save for the soft echo of the music box. The mirrors shimmered one last time, reflecting infinite possibilities, each one a path you could take, and as you stepped closer to the door, the manor seemed to breathe, patient and eternal, holding its secrets just beyond reach.
The door at the far end of the clock chamber opened silently, spilling cool night air across your skin. Beyond it lay the manor's garden, cloaked in silver moonlight. Mist rose from the dew-laden grass, curling around the bases of statues frozen in time. Each sculpture depicted figures mid-motion, dancers, children at play, a solitary musician, so lifelike that for a moment you thought they might move. The air smelled of wet earth, lilacs, and something faintly metallic, like the residue of forgotten memories. The garden stretched endlessly, winding paths disappearing into the fog. A faint, haunting melody drifted from somewhere beyond the hedges, as though the garden itself hummed a forgotten lullaby. A fountain stood in the center, its waters still and mirror-like. Moonlight glinted off the surface, and as you approached, your reflection rippled, revealing fleeting images of past visitors. A child clutching a toy, a young woman laughing, a man with hollow eyes staring toward the manor. The shadows of history swirled across the water, each memory waiting for attention. You wandered along the gravel paths, every footstep swallowed by the fog. Statues seemed to follow your movements, and you could swear faint whispers traveled with the wind. Do not be afraid. Observe, remember, choose. The words were carried on the breeze, neither loud nor insistent, but impossible to ignore. Somewhere in the distance, a wrought iron gate creaked, though no one passed through it. Lanterns flickered to life along the garden paths, casting pools of golden light. You realized the manor guided you, illuminating what it wanted you to see. A hedgerow archway led to a secluded courtyard where flowers glowed softly in the moonlight, pale roses, deep purple lilies, and vines that shimmered faintly with silver dew. In the center, a marble bench cradled an open book, as if waiting for your hands. You approached cautiously, reading the first lines. All who wander here must understand the weight of time. The air remains hidden, not by force, but by choice.
only those who see with their hearts may guide them free. The air grew colder, and the mist thickened. From the shadows, a figure emerged, tall, graceful, eyes shimmering like starlight. It was the air, cloaked in silver, their expression serene, yet sorrowful. They did not speak, but their gaze invited you to follow deeper into the garden. You did, heart beating in quiet anticipation. The paths wound in impossible ways, leading to a small pond where water lilies floated like pale lanterns. The air knelt beside the water, fingertips brushing the surface. Each ripple revealed fragments of memory, past midnight balls, forgotten laughter, shadows retreating into corners. Time remembers those who listen, and you have chosen to see. The air rose, glancing toward a hedge maze illuminated faintly by moonlight. You realized the garden itself was a labyrinth, its paths shifting with the movement of shadows. Every choice brought new visions, new echoes of the past. A soft wind carried petals across your path, and the air gestured toward a fountain hidden behind a veil of ivy. The water glowed golden, and as you approached, the air's hand extended, guiding you toward the next revelation. Here lies the heart of the manor. Their voice finally broke the silence, faint but clear. All truths converge where the shadows meet the light. As you looked into the fountain, the water shimmered, revealing glimpses of Blackthorne Manor through the centuries, rooms filled with candlelight, faces both familiar and unknown, moments captured and preserved in the eternal memory of the house. You understood then that the manor was not just a place, it was a living chronicle, waiting for someone to witness its secrets. The air stepped back, fading slightly into the mist, leaving you alone beside the fountain. The whispers of the garden swirled around you, voices of the past, the present, and perhaps the future, all weaving together in a lullaby of shadow and light. You felt the weight of the manor's history, the patience of centuries pressing gently upon your shoulders, and yet a strange serenity filled you, a quiet knowledge that every step you took, every shadow you observed, brought you closer to understanding the mystery of Blackthorne Manor. As the night deepened, the garden seemed to exhale, and you realized it was ready to reveal the next secret. A hidden path beckoned, its entrance almost imperceptible in the fog, and with each step forward, you felt the manor's pulse syncing with your own, drawing you ever deeper into its timeless embrace. Chapter 5. The Hidden Chamber. The hidden path led you through a thicket of ivy, each leaf brushing against your arms like whispers of old secrets. Moonlight filtered through the tangled branches, casting fractured shadows on the ground. The garden behind you seemed to fold away, leaving only the path illuminated by a silvery glow. At the end, a stone wall loomed, smooth except for an intricately carved panel shaped like a serpent coiled around a rose. You traced the carvings with your fingers. At first, it seemed immovable, but when you pressed a small indentation shaped like a petal, the panel shuddered, then swung inward, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward into darkness. The air was cooler here, tinged with the scent of earth, candle wax, and something faintly metallic. Every step echoed off the stone walls, slow and deliberate. At the bottom, you emerged into a chamber unlike any you had seen before. It was circular, lined with shelves filled with relics, journals, and objects of forgotten power. Candles burned in sconces, but their flames danced as if moved by unseen hands. Dust motes floated in the golden light, glimmering like tiny stars. On a pedestal at the center of the chamber lay a journal bound in cracked leather. You picked it up, fingers trembling. The handwriting was delicate, precise, and old. The air remains hidden not by force, but by choice. The manor breathes through shadows and memories, storing what must be remembered and what must be forgotten. Only the one who sees beyond the surface may awaken the truth. You turned the pages, absorbing the story of a family that had long been lost to time, their secrets buried within the walls of Blackthorne Manor. Whispers echoed around the chamber, soft voices speaking fragments of sentences you could barely understand. From the far corner, a faint glow drew your gaze. A small alcove revealed a crystal orb resting on a pedestal. As you approached, the orb shimmered, revealing visions of the past, candlelit halls, laughter echoing in empty rooms, fleeting glimpses of the air as a child, hidden from prying eyes. The air appeared beside you, their presence ethereal, yet comforting. "This is where the manor keeps its truths," they whispered. "The shadows are not to frighten you. They are reminders, guides, fragments of memory waiting to be understood." You followed their gaze to a hidden door behind a shelf. It was narrow, almost unnoticeable, carved with the same vine and serpent motif seen throughout the manor. Pushing it open revealed a room filled with portraits. Unlike the others, these were painted in living detail, eyes that seemed to follow you, expressions shifting subtly as though alive. A small note lay on a table beneath the portraits. To uncover the air is to uncover the house itself. Time is fluid here. Each choice alters the story. Pay attention, and the path will reveal itself. As you stepped further, you noticed a faint hum coming from the walls, like a heartbeat. The air gestured toward a spiral staircase descending further into shadow. "The heart of the manor lies below," they said. "Here, all things converge: memory, choice, and destiny. Are you ready?" You nodded, though a chill ran through your spine. The manor had been patient, waiting for you to arrive, to see, to understand. Every step now carried weight, and every shadow seemed alive. At the base of the staircase, you found a chamber with walls of black stone. A single candle burned atop a pedestal, illuminating a mirror larger than any you had seen. Its surface shimmered, showing not your reflection, but the manor itself, its rooms, corridors, and hidden passages moving like living entities.
The heir stepped forward, hand hovering over the mirror, and whispered, "This is the final threshold. Beyond this lies the choice. Awaken the manor fully, or let it sleep, preserving its secrets forever." The manor waited, patient, eternal.
Chapter 6. The Midnight Revelation. The chamber shadows trembled in the soft candlelight, and the mirror before you pulsed faintly, as if breathing. The air stood beside it, their figure luminous, a fragile silhouette against the black stone. Everything you have seen, every corridor, every whisper, every shadow, it has led you here, the air said, voice barely above the hum of the manor itself. The truth waits, and it is yours to embrace. You stepped closer to the mirror. Its surface shimmered like liquid silver, revealing scenes long buried, candlelit halls frozen in time, laughter echoing from unseen rooms, faces of those who had vanished within the manor, and finally, a young child clutching a rose, hiding behind a velvet curtain. The heir's eyes followed your gaze. That child is the last of my line, hidden by the manor itself to survive the weight of its history. You have been brought here because the house recognizes the blood in you, because the blood is what awakens what sleeps. A tremor ran through the stone beneath your feet. The mirror began to ripple, distorting the room. From its surface, shadows emerged, swirling like smoke, forming shapes of the manor's past occupants. They moved silently, their eyes fixed on you. Fear prickled at the back of your neck, but the heir's hand rested lightly on your shoulder, grounding you. "Do not be afraid," they said. "The manor remembers all who are lost, and all who seek. It has called to you for a reason." The shadows converged into a single shape, a grand figure draped in black, eyes hollow yet full of memory. It raised a hand, pointing toward the mirror's surface. In the reflection, a hidden room appeared, bathed in golden light. Inside lay a chest, ornate and engraved with roses and serpents. The air guided you toward it. Inside is what has been protected for generations, the key to understanding the manor and the lineage it shelters. Only you can open it. Your fingers trembled as you lifted the chest's lid. Inside lay a small, intricately carved locket, golden with black inlay. You opened it. A soft glow spilled forth, casting the room in warm light. Inside the locket was a miniature portrait of the child you had glimpsed in the mirror. Around it, delicate inscriptions spiraled. "To awaken is to remember is to free. Blackthorne endures through those who see." The air smiled faintly. The manor is patient. It waits for those who will witness, who will understand. You have seen its past, its echoes. Now you hold the final key. The house will remember you as one who embraced its story. From the mirror, a soft light spread, illuminating every corner of the chamber. The shadows retreated, forming a protective aura rather than a threat. The manor seemed to exhale, its pulse slowing to a serene rhythm, acknowledging your presence, your courage, your understanding. Outside, through the cracks of the chamber, the moonlight poured in, illuminating the garden paths you had traversed. The air stepped back, fading gently into the glow. "The manor will continue its watch," they said, voice echoing softly. "You may leave or remain, but know this: the choice to awaken it comes with a bond, eternal and patient as time itself." You felt a strange serenity wash over you, the tension in your chest easing. The manor was no longer just a place of shadows. It was alive, remembered, and now it welcomed you as part of its enduring memory. The locket pulsed gently in your hands, a reminder of the lineage preserved and the mysteries revealed. You realized that Blackthorne Manor was not a house to fear. It was a chronicle, a keeper of stories, and now, in part, your story too. As the first hints of dawn brushed the sky, you rose from the chamber, carrying the locket and the knowledge of the manor's deepest secrets. Outside, the mist lifted slightly, the gardens shimmering softly in the morning light. Blackthorne Manor stood silent, yet alive, a living testament to patience, memory, and the choices of those who dared to see. And as you stepped onto the gravel path leading away, the manor exhaled one final whisper. You are remembered until the shadows call again.
Chapter 7. The Last Guest. The manor was quiet now, its pulse steady and calm. You walked through the winding corridors, the echo of your footsteps softened by the thick carpets and the faint hum of memory lingering in the walls. Every shadow seemed less ominous, every portrait more serene, as though the house itself had acknowledged your presence and understood your journey. You returned briefly to the grand hall, the same hall that had greeted you upon arrival. The chandelier above glimmered faintly, crystals catching the pale light of the rising sun filtering through tall windows. Dust motes floated lazily, drifting like tiny stars suspended in amber. Elias appeared quietly at your side, his face softer than before, the tension of centuries behind him seemingly eased. The manor welcomes you. You have walked its corridors, listened to its whispers, and seen its truths. Few guests are granted this honor. Most never find the courage to continue when faced with shadows so alive. You nodded, feeling a sense of peace you had not known when you first arrived. The weight of fear, curiosity, and anticipation had shifted into something quieter, gentler, a knowledge that you had been part of something timeless. "Am I the last guest?" you asked softly, glancing around the hall. Elias smiled faintly. Perhaps, or perhaps not. The manor always waits, patient as ever. For every guest who walks its halls, another may follow some day. But you are the one who has awakened what needed remembering. Others will see, but few will feel as you have. A gentle breeze brushed through the open windows, carrying the scent of lilacs and night-blooming roses.
The distant gardens whispered with the rustle of leaves, the soft trickle of fountains, and the echo of memories long past. You realized the manor itself seemed to breathe, exhaling stories into the morning light. You wandered through familiar corridors, now bathed in the soft glow of dawn. Every corner held echoes of the night's discoveries: the mirror room, the hidden chamber, the moonlit garden. And though the shadows were still present, they felt like old friends, guides rather than threats. At last, you returned to the front doors, the same heavy black wood and twisted iron that had first greeted you. The gates swung open silently, revealing the gravel path that led away from the manor. Outside, the morning mist lingered, soft and silver, carrying the faintest traces of night's magic. You paused for a moment, feeling the manor behind you, alive and patient, watching, yet never demanding. It had shared its secrets, revealed its lineage, and entrusted you with its memory. You were its witness, its final guest of the night, and somehow you felt honored to leave the house now, carrying its story with you. Elias's voice broke the quiet. Remember, the manor waits, always. Its stories are patient, and you are remembered here as part of its eternal history. You nodded once, then stepped forward onto the gravel path. Behind you, Blackthorne Manor stood in serene silence, its towers dark against the morning sky, its windows reflecting pale light like watchful eyes. And though you walked away, the manor's whispers lingered softly in your mind, a gentle lullaby of shadows, memory, and time itself. The journey had ended, but the story would remain. Every step carried you farther from the manor, yet closer to the calm understanding that you had been part of something eternal, a place where mysteries slumbered, waited, and whispered to those willing to listen. As you walked into the soft embrace of morning, the manor faded behind you, still alive, still patient, its secrets preserved in shadow and memory. And in that quiet, magical moment, you felt the calm of sleep begin to settle, a gentle serenity wrapping around you like the softest blanket.